Of July 9th, 2024. Please rise for the pledge. Legislative Council, will you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Legislator Castellano. Legislator Nasarino.
Present.
Chairman Yonke.
Present. Item number 3 is the acceptance of the Personnel Committee meeting minutes of June 18, 2024. I'll make a motion to accept them. Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 4 is the approval of a budgetary amendment to the District Attorney's Office. It's a request for 2 salary increases, 1 Assistant District Attorney position, and number 2 is the reclassification of a position resulting in a salary increase. I see we have District Attorney Kendi and First Assistant District Attorney Brianne Smith with us. Would you please?
Sure, thanks.
Come on up.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, so, Brianne's daughter is outside, so just making sure she's on her way. So over the last year, it's been very clear that we need an appellate attorney, and we've had cases come in really more than the last year, last 2 or 3 years, basically since bail reform started in 2020, where we have much more advanced and technologically advanced burglaries and financial cases, etc. And I'll start with the need for what I'll call a bureau chief of our financial crimes unit. We used to have a full financial crimes unit. We had 1 assistant district attorney who was our first assistant, Larry Glasser, who was in charge of it, and he had 2 assistant district attorneys working underneath him. The 2 assistant district attorneys left the office, and it was left up to Larry. Larry has also since left the office, and he's gone to the Bronx. So for the past, really, almost 2 years now, we've been without a financial crimes bureau. I have tasked over the past year and a half Melissa Lynch with handling these cases. They involve welfare fraud, insurance fraud, they involve pattern burglaries, they involve pattern burglaries which entail pretty advanced electronic communications between various groups of individuals. Some of them are actually cartels from in South America, and I don't want to go into any more details, but it's getting very, very complicated. And she has been doing the work of a bureau chief for at least a year, if not more, and she's been doing it by herself. In the past 4 months or so, I've tasked 2 assistant district attorneys to work with her in these regards. They're relatively new attorneys, but they're learning the ropes, and that's a good thing. But she's clearly doing the work of a bureau chief, in addition to her regular responsibility as an ADA, which she's been doing nonstop. She interfaces with various law enforcement agencies on a daily basis, sometimes early in the morning, sometimes late at night. She'll interface with the sheriff's office. She'll interface with the state police. She'll interface with the New York State taxation and finance bureaus. She'll interface with local law enforcement agencies. And she'll interface with various corporations such as Verizon, Facebook, and other social media entities. The position, she currently, I don't want to give the name, but the line is 116-510-105, and the duties and responsibilities of a bureau chief, not all of them, but I'll reach some of the more pertinent ones. She coordinates and administers the processing of cases in area of assignment, the preparing of statistical reports on the status of litigation, record-keeping duties in connection with the various cases, interviews, trains, and supervises personnel in assigned bureaus, evaluates their performances, supervises and directs the prosecution of criminal cases in Putnam County and various municipalities, exercises discretion with regards to the method in which these cases are prosecuted, evaluates and screens felony cases in the assigned area to determine appropriate action, directs and coordinates investigations into organized or syndicated crime, and cooperates with other law enforcement agencies, provides professional expertise in assisting local police departments and local public officials in a community relations capacity by delivering speeches, facilitating meetings with local interest groups, civil or merchant, directs all grand jury investigations. We currently have, I think, 11. All grand jury investigations and the presentation of cases to the grand jury. So in a nutshell, that's the legalese of what a bureau chief, in particular financial crime bureau chief, does. In this case, she wouldn't just be financial crime bureau chief, which is what most offices have. She would also, basically consolidating 3 bureaus. She would handle pattern burglaries investigations and social services fraud. In most larger ADA's offices, those are 3 separate bureaus. Obviously, we don't have the personnel for that. So she would be handling all of them with the assistance of 2 assistant district attorneys. And just to give you an idea of how an investigation works on a daily basis of this nature, I thought Brianne Smith would give you a good idea as to what happens when the phone call comes in, what you have to do with regards to search warrants, cell site tower dumps, following automobiles, things of that nature. Because she does this on a regular basis too, with regards to her responsibilities.
So with regards to the pattern type crimes that we're seeing an increase in, a significant increase, unfortunately, in Putnam County, they're residential burglaries, they're commercial burglaries, particular homes and neighborhoods are being targeted, business owners, their homes, their residences are being targeted, as well as their businesses. And what happens is law enforcement will reach out to us because we're the ones that have to sign off on search warrants, so we'll partake in the investigation insofar as we help them draft search warrants for cell phone tower dumps, for any type of video surveillance for which we need a search warrant to obtain that footage. We work with multiple agencies. Oftentimes these pattern burglaries don't just occur in Putnam County. It's these same groups that are coming up from the city, that are going into Connecticut, that are going into Pennsylvania. So a lot of times we deal with the state police or we deal with federal agencies, FBI, DEA. The investigation involves tracking vehicles, GPS warrants, license plate readers. So it's a lot of not only legwork and research and writing on our part, but it's a lot of coordination with other DA's offices and other law enforcement agencies. And that's just in regards to one particular crime or investigation. We have multiple investigations going on at any given time. And this is all pre-arrest. So our discovery obligations have not even kicked in yet, but we are creating a lot of discovery. So during this investigatory phase, all of the search warrants, all of the communications back and forth, all of the research we do, all of the records we obtain from other agencies, we have to keep very close track of that, because if and when an arrest is made, now our discovery obligations are triggered, and we must now present this package to a defense attorney so that the case doesn't ultimately end up dismissed. We don't, no sanctions, discovery sanctions are imposed, and we can preserve the integrity of that investigation. So again, that's just an example of these pattern burglaries, these pattern residential and commercial burglaries that we deal with. Same is true for drug trafficking, gun trafficking. I think sometimes we forget that we're Putnam County, but we're surrounded by high crime areas, Poughkeepsie, Waterbury, the Bronx. So we get a lot of the traffic coming through, literally and figuratively, and we try very hard to keep it out. Bail reform, unfortunately, has limited our ability when we are able to make an arrest, effectuate an arrest, to keep custody of that person for prosecutorial purposes and for intel gathering purposes. So that makes the investigations that much more difficult. So again, these are things and crimes that we're seeing an increase in, and we're trying very hard with the limited staff that we have to keep up with it and provide law enforcement with whatever help they need so that we can try to limit this activity in Putnam County.
Just yesterday morning, I got to the office at 8 o'clock. A person who I would like to put in this position had been at the Carmel PD, I believe, since 7 a.m. starting the night before, working on issues such as this. It's a routine part of the job. And it is getting rather complicated.
And just thank you both very much for meeting with me and explaining a lot of this to me. And I'm certainly going to try and educate my colleagues about what your office is going through. And, you know, we really need to support this office. There are a couple things cooking that we really need to help the DA with. Any questions or comments of the committee?
I would just like to say I'm very supportive of these changes. I think they've been a long time in coming. We've discussed this for quite a long time, the need to upgrade and raise salaries to get competent people in this position and to have the retention as well. And you know, whether it's the DA's office or the sheriff's office, things are changing in Putnam County. We have to keep up with the pace, and we have to keep up with the technology, and we have to keep up with the manpower. So I'm very supportive of my vote.
Thank you. I did forget to mention.
Before we, I'm sorry, and I apologize, there are two items here. Why don't you talk about the second item?
Yes.
And then we'll ask the questions of both items that you have.
We have not had a full-time appellate attorney on staff since 2018, I think, when David Bishop, who was a full-time appellate attorney, he had been there for about 4 years. He was still he was just beginning to get experienced enough to handle real solid appellate work. And of course, as soon as he got the experience, he left and went to the appellate division, actually. So since then, we have asked some of our ADAs to handle whatever appeals, simple appeals that came in that they could handle. And the more complex appeals we've sent to the New York Prosecutors Training Institute. They've handled several of our appeals for us. They have now informed us they can no longer handle our appeals. We're sending them too many. They're inundated with other offices' appeals as well. And they basically told us, guys, you've got to get an appellate attorney. We've been doing this now for 4 years. We can't do it anymore. So with that, just for the appeals themselves, when an appeal comes in, I'll give you an example. I had to handle a very, very simple appeal about 4 months ago. It was about a 15-page appeal. It took me almost 2 months to write it. I kept getting kicked back from the appellate division. Everything is electronic now. If you don't embed it with certain data points, it gets kicked back. The form has to be 100% perfect. And eventually I contacted Nikki and I said, guys, this is a really simple appeal, but it keeps getting kicked back. I sent it to them. Within 1 day, they had sent me this beautiful, great appeal that was accepted, no questions asked. It took them 1 day. It took me almost a month to do what an experienced appellate attorney was able to do in 1 day. This is a very niche area. Most attorneys, I don't mean to insult them, they're very important. They're geeks. They're really good at this. You have to know every aspect of the law. It's not the same as being a litigator. Appellate attorneys work with us on a daily basis when we go to court. Legal issues pop up during conversations with judges every single day. During motion practice, it comes up all the time. If there's a hearing or a trial, we're getting some very, very sophisticated defense attorneys who are making arguments. They now have banks of appellate attorneys working on these cases. And they're coming to court loaded with information and loaded with case law. And we just don't have anybody on staff that can answer these issues in a moment's notice when they need to be. So we really do need an appellate attorney just to guide me, to guide our staff, our young ADAs, to write the appeals, to make intelligent professional arguments before the appellate division or the appellate term. We're really missing it, and in the last 2 years in particular, we've been hit with a lot of appeals, and we just don't have the time to do them. And not only do we not have the time to do them, I don't have an attorney to do them. And ultimately, it's gonna redound in a bad way to us if we don't get somebody on staff who knows what to do in this regard. And I want to go ahead.
not only when an appeal comes into the office that needs to be responded to, but especially because of the new discovery laws. The laws are constantly changing, and just recently, a decision had come out from the second department that affected one of my cases that I was in motion practice handling. So it kind of shifted my entire argument. I had to adapt. But it's important to have someone in the office who that's their primary function, is to be on top of the law. And when there's authority that's sent out and new decisions that are now binding on our judges, that person is going to be responsible for being up to date and providing that information to the rest of the office. So while the attorneys who primarily litigate are actively in court, the appellate attorney is also responsible for, like I said, maintaining those recent decisions and providing us with the information that we need to respond to the motions, to go to court and make the arguments. So it's two different types of jobs. Somebody who can be in an office and constantly be doing this research and compiling it to provide to us, not only when we're on trial or when an appeal comes in, but just on day-to-day decisions that are being handed down by the appellate division that we need to be aware of immediately.
I did not mention that, I know last year the questions came up about these grants. We have the Discovery Grant, which is known as the DCJS grant, and we have the Aid to Prosecution Grant, which is the ATP grant. And I mentioned last year that these grants are not going away. In fact, they're increasing. Our Aid to Prosecution grant in the last 2 years has increased $190,000 approximately. The Discovery Grant in the last has gone from 2021 has gone from $94,000 to $150,000. And that's just what our office receives. The county, because of the grants we're writing, is receiving more than that. But if you take just the last 2 years, the Discovery Grant and the Aid to Prosecution Grant to this office only, it's $673,355, or $336,670,000 per year. That not only covers all of these costs, it covers it. We have plenty of money left over, and these grants are coming in every single year. These requests for increases in our budget line for these positions will not affect the tax base at all. It all can come from the grant money.
Any questions?
I do have a question. For the appellate attorney, do you have any viable candidates in mind, or do you anticipate this would take a while to?
Well, we're asking that the salary level be brought to $130,000. Hopefully that will attract someone with at least a halfway decent amount of experience. There is an issue that came up about a week ago that 2 weeks ago that I was not aware of, which has to do with I guess, for lack of a better term, a law or a resolution that was passed involving years of service before we can get health benefits. I've never hired anybody informing them of this because I never knew about it. Now that I know about it, I have to inform the applicants that this is something you got to be aware of. I think that's going to significantly impact the size of the pool, but I'll deal with that as it comes. Sometimes we get lucky, I don't know, but I've brought it up to Legislator Yankee's attention. In passing, I brought it up to Legislator Elmer's attention, but again, I just found out about this a week and a half ago. I was totally unaware of it. So how that affects it.
After we met, I spoke with Personnel Director Eldridge, and we're not going to kick this down the road. We're going to work on this as quickly as we can. We're hopefully going to work on this for the August personnel meeting.
Just clarify that can you just clarify that they're not coming, they're not getting health insurance?
When they're hired,
3 months.
Putnam County had, if you had a family or single plan or family plan for insurance, the contribution is for management is 25%. So when you're offering a salary, it's the salary minus the contributions. So effectively, you're offering $10,000 less than the number you're putting on the paper.
And it's not just that.
And it's the health benefits in retirement. There's a combination of 25 years. You have to get to 25 years. So you kind of have to dedicate your life to Putnam County, which prohibits departments from getting experienced people, whether it's attorneys or other professionals. We're at a disadvantage in attracting people with experience because they're not just gonna come here if they have eight or 10 years left in their careers. They're not gonna come here because they're not gonna be able to get the health benefits in retirement. And
Right.
so, yes, sir.
That's another matter, but hopefully
Yeah.
the salary request that we're asking for will attract some qualified candidates, and we'll see how it goes. If it doesn't work out, we'll come back. We're gonna be back here for budget season soon anyway.
I mentioned his name and he's put his hand up, so I'm gonna ask him to comment.
I just
And
wanted to-
correct me.
Well, just for clarification purposes, the 25 years can be attained by working 25 years for us, but we will allow up to 12 years of service in other municipal governments in New York State to apply towards the 25. But your example is correct. If somebody's looking at 8 more years and they come in and they even have, they're going to spend that time with us, they would need to, with the 8, something like 17 years. So it really is a disincentive.
Right, yes.
I'm happy to hear that we're going to revisit this. The way things are today, it's not the way our dads were, where a company man was a company man for 35 years and stayed, or like you, Paul. But that being said, the younger generation does tend not to stay in any position very long. They are on the ladder to succeed and notoriously have moved on and moved forward within their career. So we need to take that into consideration.
And also, there's an issue with the assistant district attorney's position. You serve at the pleasure of the district attorney. District attorney turnovers are fairly frequent, 8 years, 4 years, 12 years, maybe 16 years, 20 years, but you're always in jeopardy of having your job taken away from you because a new district attorney is coming in. Some of the nearby counties, over the last 2 years, there's been tremendous turnover with new DAs coming in, and if those people were in this position here, they'd have a problem getting health care.
Understood. Legislator Elmer.
Through the chair, who makes the determination whether previous year's experience qualify?
That
a
definition
resolution.
is in the law.
It's a resolution, it's a county policy.
Okay.
That's defined in the law.
Thank you.
I just wonder-
Yes.
You mentioned serving at the pleasure, that the
Yes.
idea. Do other counties have a different rule for that, or?
Yes, many counties
Oh.
have the 10-10 rule where your retirement kicks in at 10 years. Your health benefits can kick in at 10 years if you wish to. Others make it 15. Nobody makes it 25.
No, I just want to serving at the pleasure of the.
Yes, that's a state law. All
That's-
ADAs serve at the
that's
pleasure of the
state, right,
district attorney. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I just want to say thank you we knew this was coming, with the bail reform, and we're lucky that it is funded through these grant opportunities. As you said, they're increasing the grant opportunities. I see every day that types of crimes are changing in Putnam County, maybe becoming more frequent, and you've kept it at bay. We have Newburgh across the river from us, and we have the Metro North train line where a lot of the crime comes through.
The vast majority of them are coming from out-of-county people.
So I want to thank your office for their work and
Thanks.
due diligence, and I know I've seen that the office has been struggling and needs to step it up with structuring it with things like this.
Thanks.
Any other questions? I'll make a motion to approve this budgetary amendment. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Have a
evening.
good night.
Be careful out there.
Item number 5 is the approval of a fund transfer. It's funds to purchase rabies medical supplies. We have our senior fiscal manager, Mr. Orr. Welcome.
We have a few transfers on here, and just wanted to tell you first that they're all coming from personnel lines, so we're not going to contingency. We're trying to avoid that. So we have 3 nursing positions that we're down, and we have 3 office assistant positions we're down, and just that's where the money's coming from. So I'll go over each one if you want. I mean, we wrote up why we need it there, but if you have questions, or do you want me to go over it? I will.
Let's just start with the purchase of rabies medical supplies.
Okay. This is an account where we purchase rabies vaccine. So exposure to rabies requires 3 shots. And they're $3.75 each. We just recently had a family of 3, a month ago, 2 families of 2. So a family of 3 would, that's $1,125 per person, or about $3,400 for the
Okay.
family. So, we never know. We try to fund this properly every year, but you never know when you've got multiple families get hit, a bat flies in a house, and there's 10 people, they gotta get treated. So, that's what we're looking to do. We spent $25,800 last year. With this transfer, I anticipate $34,000, because we're still early in the rabies season here. You know what I mean? It's June to September, so.
And you have the money in the lines.
And we have the money, yeah. It's,
Any
not a
questions?
contingency.
Any questions?
Is there any reason for an uptick in rabies?
It just no, it's a matter of when the bat,
Bats are
I
back.
can't control the bats.
Bats come back.
Or how many they affect, that's the real problem,
Yeah, no, I mean, I heard recently like the bat population was down tremendously.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
wondering if it bounced back and
It's hit and miss.
it's
Yes.
Are most of the incidents in someone's house, or are they outside, do you know?
They're both. Some people were at a park. One group was at a park and flew around and landed on a person. Others are in the house, yeah. So it varies.
And you've been successful each time in treating?
Oh, yeah, they come right away,
Right.
no questions asked, get it
Okay.
done.
Thank you.
Yes.
I have a question. So you're pulling this out of nursing line, an empty position. Is this a position that's going to be filled?
Oh, we're trying to fill 3 positions right now.
So you're,
Yes.
it's in the works, trying to hire somebody.
Yeah, we get a lot of turndowns right now, so keep going back to those various reasons. Some people have a lot of experience and command a lot more money than we are offering. That's
So we're going to, instead of taking money out, we should put money in and maybe attract.
Well, we're not affecting that, because what we're taking out is what's remaining in there. So if we still hire somebody, there's ample money for it going forward. We're not taking money out in advance.
We're just making a point, I know that.
Oh, okay.
I was just making a
Okay.
point. We
I-
should be funding our nursing staff.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have to say, I appreciate Legislator Sage's point, and hopefully we can address it during budget season, because if you look at the next request, it's for TB lab analysis, because let's just use that as an example. We have TB cases in Putnam County, and we're down 3 nurses, and I'm hoping we'll discuss this during budget season
Yes.
and talk about what you need to hire more nurses.
Yes.
I'm also going to suggest the same. We're also down nurses in the hospitals and staff in the hospitals too. I think it's really important that we are attracting staff in the county health department as well to make up for, the retention at the hospital and the ability to treat there as well. So.
Anyone else? I'll make a motion to approve this fund transfer for the rabies medical supplies. Do I have a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 6 is the approval of fund transfer. It's funds for the tuberculosis lab analysis line. We're pulling the money from the vacant nurses line too. Correct?
Yes, and this is an account where we pay for medical TB testing, x-rays, CAT scans, blood work. TB has been much higher this year. Many there's a family of 5, all have TB. Currently, the 2 patients are active, and we have to conduct tests monthly on them. That's like $600 a month. So with that, again, with this area, we never know how many TB cases we're going to have during the year. We budget from previous years. This time, we have more than we budgeted.
But we still have the money and no fiscal impact. Any questions?
No fiscal.
Yes.
When does the number become an epidemic? Do you know? Like you said, we have 5, a family of 5, but there's obviously more. And
Yeah, there's
I know
more.
there's a cutoff where it becomes with the data that you have, it becomes an epidemic. I mean, TB is just like the most terrifying of all, I think. And I've only heard that from family members who are doctors. And my son was going to visit a friend in the hospital who had TB, and it just grabbed him by the collar and said, "You're not." You know, it's just, so if we, you know, it's on the rise in Putnam County, and
Yes.
hopefully we can talk about how we're making some public outreach about that and prevention and a public education program for the terrifying incidents of TB.
I hate to ask, but why is it on the rise and what can we do to stop it?
That's not a question for me.
The numbers guy,
I can
sorry.
do that with
Thank you.
Dr. Mike or Kathy Bertoncello, supervising nurse, and get back to you.
Thank you.
Maybe if Dr. Mike could send us a memo and tell us what's going on and where it's coming from,
Thank
that would be
you.
very helpful.
Yes. Legislator Crowell.
Do we still have the TB clinics that we were doing throughout the county?
Yes,
Any
yes, they do that all
questions?
the time. Try to, we try to contain everything.
These are for the health committee meetings, sorry. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the fund transfer. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 7 is the approval of the fund transfer. It's funds to cover 2 part-time temporary positions. Tell us about this.
Okay, we have 2 temporary people that we're going to, that have been working for us for years, and we told them as soon as we fill these 3 vacant positions, they're going to be eliminated, so they know that, and they're willing to work on, knowing that. We are down, like I said, 3 positions, so we're trying to fill those too. There's no list right now. Paul, is there a list now?
Which title are we talking about?
We're talking about administrative assistant, office assistant.
We have an office. It's the problem is we canvass them in most of the maternity time.
Okay. So that, we're in a dilemma with that. So the receptionist was part of the 3 people that is vacant. So we have a rotating force for that at our front desk, you know what I mean? So this is why these people are here. And as soon as we fill these positions, then they're gone, and it'll be fiscal impact 0.
Okay. Any questions? I'll make a motion to approve that fund transfer. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Looks like one more, Bill.
Yep.
Item 8 is approval of a fund transfer. It's funds to cover nursing overtime.
Yeah, that's, as you've been saying here. we have
If you
3
short
nurses
employees,
down,
the ones
so-
that are working have to work overtime.
So they're trying to
We don't
keep-
need you
Yeah.
to explain that.
Okay.
That's the case, right?
That's the case. Basically, they're trying to keep up with all the programs that they would normally do with 3 other nurses without, letting services go, so they're working overtime.
And this money's also coming out of those other lines?
Yes.
So we got the money for it?
Yeah, all these moves that are making tonight is fiscal impact 0, they're transfers.
Very good. Any questions? All right, I'll make a motion to approve that fund transfer. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
See you. See you
Here.
in
Item number
October.
9 is the approval of a fund transfer. It's funds to cover full-time correction cooks overtime. Under Sheriff Linder, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
So we have overtime for the cooks in the jail.
Correct. Okay, one of the cooks went out sick March 4th with a prolonged illness and is supposedly coming back July 12th. There is no extra cooks that we can move around. There was only the 3, and he's been out since.
Okay. And the money's covered, there's no fiscal impact. Any questions from the committee? Any questions from the legislature? Anyone else? I'll make a motion to approve the fund transfer. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item number 10 is the approval of a fund transfer, funds to cover part-time corrections cooks overtime. So you have full-time and part-time. The
Right.
part-timers are working too.
Yes.
Any questions? Any comments? I'll make a motion to approve the fund transfer. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Under Sheriff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 11 is approval of a fund transfer. It's an upgrade from senior data entry operator to principal office assistant. We have our Commissioner of Social Services, Sarah Servio. Sarah, welcome.
Thank you. So the social service law dictates the position of the staff development coordinator. And based on the number of employees in your social services department, dictates whether it's a director or a coordinator. So because we have less than 90 people in our social service department, we need to employ a staff development coordinator. The position was previously occupied by a part-time worker who retired January 30th. We do have an existing staff member who had asked to take on additional responsibilities and was interested in absorbing the staff development coordinator. Essentially, New York State mandates all of its workers in social services to do annual trainings. With 80-something employees, it's a lot of coordinating and just making sure people are getting their mandated trainings in. So that's the majority of what a staff development coordinator does.
And this person has been doing the job
She
since the previous
yes.
person left.
She's been doing it since the beginning, right at January 2nd, I believe. The request is to go from a senior data entry operator to a principal office assistant, going from a grade 11 to a grade 12, same step.
And this is required, the state is requiring that we have this position in your department.
Yes, sir.
Any questions from the committee?
No, pretty straightforward.
Any questions of the legislature? Anybody in the public want to comment? All right, I'm going to make a motion to approve the fund transfer. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sarah. Item number 12 is the approval of standard workday and reporting resolution. This is kind of standard. A couple times a year we pass this report. Do we have any questions about it? Any comments? I'll make a motion to approve this standard workday report resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Item number 13 is an FYI. It's your accident report. Please review it. Item number 14 is an FYI. It's your incident report. Please review it. Forgive me, I wanted to bring, for item number 11, which Sarah was just here for, we did receive some additional information. I'd like to make a motion to approve the additional that we all received. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Is that,
It's just a housekeeping detail.
okay.
It was revised,
This-
not additional, really. It was just revised.
That's right. We had it in our packet, and then one of the numbers was revised. It came in as additional. Item 15 is other business. Do we have any other business? I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.